Craig, Herc, time for another thrilling edition of Bracket Eliminator. Today's question we're trying to answer: who is the best export ever in Major League Soccer history? We've come up with a list of 8 names. Here they are. We've got an old school side of the bracket and a new school side of the bracket. We'll start on the new school. Tyler Adams against Deandre Yedlin in the first round. We've also got Miguel Almiron against Alphonso Davies. In the old school half of the bracket, Clint Dempsey against Tim Howard, then Damarcus Beasley against Michael Bradley. Herc, since Craig is new at this, we'll let you start us off. It's Tyler Adams against Deandre Yedlin. Adams went from Red Bull to RB Leipzig for $3 million and a 33% sell-on fee. Yedlin went for $4 million to Spurs from Sounders, then $6 million to Newcastle. So some big business for Yedlin. From those two, who you taking and why?
I'm taking Tyler Adams. Deandre Yedlin, it was a big move at the time, yes, to Spurs. He didn't have the greatest go of it. We've seen what happens to young Americans who go to big clubs and then they get loaned out and they're trying to find their way. That hasn't been the case for Tyler Adams. Yes, there's a difference between Leipzig and Spurs. I understand this. But he's been a much productive player early on. He's been a much more important player for his club early on. I would have to say it's Tyler Adams. I think Tyler Adams went there at a younger age, if I'm not mistaken. I see more projection going forward with Tyler Adams. I see a bigger club in his future. So it's not just about the initial signing, but also what he does with it or what he can do with it. Just on all accounts, the body of work, the team, what he's been able to play in, how important he's been able to be for his club, it's Tyler Adams without a doubt.
All right, Tyler Adams moving on to the semifinal. Craig, your first quarterfinal. Miguel Almiron or Alphonso Davies? Almiron bought from Lanús for $8 million, sold to Newcastle for $25 million. Alphonso Davies sold for $13.5 million to Bayern Munich, about $22 with his performance add-ons added into that. Who are you taking? Best MLS export, Davies or Almiron?
Well, Almiron had a bit of a slow start at Newcastle, but I think the fans have taken to him, to be fair. I think he managed to get, I think he's got 2 goals now. It took him a while to get his first one. He looked particularly happy when he scored that, and so he should. And I think he's a good player. However, I think the impact, and I don't think this is a difficult one, but the impact that Alphonso Davies has had at Bayern Munich, to not only make that impact, but to get in this side, and to get in a side of this quality. They are one of the favourites to win the Champions League. They're going to win the Bundesliga again. And also to play out of position and learn the new position and play it well. For that reason and all those reasons, I think he has and will continue to have one of the biggest impacts of players leaving MLS for a top side in Bayern Munich.
There we have it. Davies into the semifinal. So we got Adams and Davies in the one semi. We go to the old school half of the bracket. Herc, I'm going to start with you. A couple of your contemporaries, Damarcus Beasley, Michael Bradley. Beasley, you going from Chicago to PSV for $2.5 million. Sounds like nothing back in 2004. Bradley, listen to this. Went to the Dutch League for $250,000. The youngest player at the time ever from MLS to make the jump, get sold to Europe. Herc, who are you taking?
This is a difficult one because obviously you look at the body of work, and if we're only going club transfer fees, if we're only going clubs from Major League Soccer, I want to go Damarcus Beasley. And this is no disrespect to Michael Bradley and what he did when he was in Holland and that amazing little goal-scoring record for a defensive midfielder and his impressive career abroad since he had it. But there's been no player, at least in Major League Soccer, that's made the jump that's been so impactful for his club at such a high level. This PSV team, I mean, he was his successor to Arjen Robben. He comes in, they go to the semifinals of a UEFA Champions League. I believe he scored 4 goals in that edition. They were only outs in that semifinal on away goals to AC Milan. Damarcus Beasley was the real deal. If social media was around back then, we wouldn't be talking about Damarcus Beasley like we would today. We'd be talking major Christian Pulisic type of vibes. He'd be bigger than Christian Pulisic. He was that type of player. He's had a fantastic career. That year, that moment, that transfer fee, even at 22, the jump wasn't even that big for him. It was seamless. I have to go with Damarcus Beasley.
All right, there you have it. Bees into the semifinal. Who will he meet? Craig, you'll decide between Clint Dempsey and Tim Howard. Dempsey moving to Fulham for $3 to $4 million in 2007. Howard going to Manchester United in 2003 for $4 million, then Everton in 2007, where he really did his damage for $3 million. Who you taking between those two best MLS export?
Well, I just have to ask, what the hell's happened to Claudio Reyna? Is he upset anybody?
Well, he's not an MLS export, American export.
Yeah.
Oh,
you got to read the fine print, Craig. The devil is in the details, man.
Well, what about Brian McBride and what about Tim Free?
Only tangentially. I mean, if you want to give MLS credit for those guys, I'll give their college programs credit for those guys. MLS can't claim those dudes.
Well,
you want to go back to when the ball was brown is what they wanted.
Brad Friedel, I was just throw it out there. Okay, this is quite a close one because I was commentating on a weekly basis on most of their games. Clint Dempsey did most of his damage, almost all of his damage at Fulham, not at Tottenham. I was there when he scored that great goal in the Europa League against Juventus. I was commentating with Mr. Champion at Craven Cottage. And, you know, strikers grabbed the headlines and Clint Dempsey was no doubt a great player. On the other hand, you know, you look at the clubs that Tim Howard was at, Manchester United for a season or so, you know, I think 45 appearances, a couple of appearances in the FA Cup final, or at least one. And then the big move to Everton, big club, but not the most successful club, but under an era of over a decade of relative success under David Moyes. And, you know, at one point getting them into, I think, the Champions League, but certainly always floating about the European possessions. Rock solid for the bulk of his career until it got towards the end. Tim Howard, and I think he was a bedstone, really, of that Everton side, and for that reason alone, I'm probably not going to go with the glitzy striker in Clint Dempsey. I'm going to give some love to goalkeepers, and I'm going to say, for being the rock of David Moyes' Everton side in goal for a long, long time, I think over 300 appearances, I'm going for Tim Howard.
Wow, I did not see that coming. I thought surely Shaka would be our goalkeeping union representative, but you did it, Craig. All right, so we got Beasley Howard in the one semifinal. We got Adams Davies in the other. The first semifinal, Herc, coming to you. Tyler Adams, Alphonso Davies.
You know, I'm starting to agree with Craig. I don't see why you didn't put Brian McBride and these guys if you put Clint Dempsey, you know, and I mean, what was he playing? A couple seasons?
Different era,
seasons?
Dude. Different era. Come on, what are you talking about?
Okay, fine. I'll go with the Sebi reasoning here. That's fine. Okay, I'll do this. Let's see. Alphonso Davies, Tyler Adams. This is a close one, but it's really not that close. And I'm saying it's close because of what Tyler Adams has been able to do and how we all saw the move coming, and it's also an indictment for Major League Soccer and what they can do, this new exportation. Nobody saw Alphonso Davies coming, and if you say you did, you're lying to us straight through your teeth, whoever out there thinks that really happened. And nobody saw him moving from what was a left winger position to a left back position and already being amongst the best in the world while still learning said position at 19 years old at one of the best clubs in the world. It's not even close. It's got to be Alphonso Davies. I don't know how else we could even, cut that one up.
All right, Craig. The next semifinal is yours. Damarcus Beasley or the man you just put into the semi, Tim Howard. Who you taking best MLS export?
Yeah, I take all the things that Herc said about Damarcus Beasley, but he saw a lot more of them than me. I saw a little bit of him when he was at Rangers, which I can't remember is how long he was actually there, but he spent a bit of time in Scotland.
3 seasons, won a league and a cup.
Yes, and clearly a very, very good player. Not a doubt about that. But because I didn't see that much of him in time, and I did see almost all of Tim Howard, and for all the reasons I mentioned before, I'm just going to have to go with the experience and the Premier League player, and the rock that Tim Howard was. No glitz and glamour, but I'm going for the goalkeepers. I'm showing him a bit of love again, and I'm going for Tim Howard.
Howard in goal when Manchester United won the FA Cup, so he's got that to his credit. Beasley, we should say, won the league and won the cup, both in Holland and in Scotland, so certainly a full trophy case for Bees. He doesn't go to the final, though. Tim Howard in against Davies. Now, you guys know how this works. You each get a vote here. If you disagree, you give me the vote, the decisive vote, which I know you don't want to do. All right, Herc, I'll start with you. Tim Howard and a career's worth of work, or Alphonso Davies and a season's worth of work, who is the best MLS export?
This is very difficult because I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. but Tim Howard was never amongst the best goalkeepers in the world. He may have been amongst the best goalkeepers in the Premier League for a season or two, but to be referred as the best in your position, regardless of how new it is, and that is what amazes me about Alphonso Davies. He's been doing this for less than 7 months, and he's already considered amongst that handful of best, left-sided backs in the world. But for me, it's still Tim Howard. For me, it's got to be Tim Howard. If you look at the body of work and what he's been able to do, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, because the day of tomorrow, Alphonso Davies could have a mistake and it impacts him mentally, and it's downhill from there. Though that's not been the case, because he keeps getting better and he keeps blowing us away. I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment over 6 months, so I have to pick the body of work and what is Tim Howard.
Craig, do you agree?
Well, for people that only thought that football started a couple of years ago, they'll only see Alphonso Davies in his recent performances. Of course, what happens in the last few months is very clear in the mind, and so it's there for everybody to see. There's a couple of reasons that I'm going to go for Tim Howard here, and one is that goalkeepers don't get much love, but then he was Tim was probably a 7 or 8 out of 10 probably most weeks. Alphonso Davies has got a long career in front of him. If we'd have been talking in 5 or 6 years' time and his trajectory had continued, then I probably think we'd have been naming him quite easily if he continues on that upward spiral. However, just so that you don't have a smug final vote, and that nailed it for me. That absolutely got it across the line. I'm agreeing with her. Tim Howard is going in at my number one, just so as you don't get that vote.
Craig, you have made everyone in the YouTube comments exceptionally happy. You've managed to shut me up. There it is, the bracket eliminator for this week. Who is the best MLS export of all time? Craig and Herc agree. It's Tim Howard, just over Alphonso Davies.
He's got robbed.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.